Okay, so this is a really cool episode where what I'm talking about not only like helps out creativity and artistry, but is also like a mental health topic. So this is kind of sick. This is good like crossover episode. I don't have to be like, oh, this is specifically for artists. I wouldn't say like any of my videos are specifically for artists, but like that's like the direction I want to go in is like self improvement and artistry together. But like this is like the synthesis of that. This is like perfect. This is right there. So one big thing that I notice a lot with people who are creative or are artists, especially musical artists, is this like thought that once you get signed, once you get a record deal, or like once you get a publishing deal, or like once you get a tour, you get to open for someone, or like once you like, we'll just call it your big break. Like once your big break happens, you are going to be so happy and so successful and so just like set for life that you will never need to like, you'll never have negative thoughts again. It's kind of like this paradox where like you ever notice people who have like six-pack abs are like still consistently like working hard to like get even better. Then you're like, how, like why, like I wish I had that body, like your reference point is different because you don't have it. But anyways, we're gonna explain why that's the case and why you shouldn't be waiting for this like big break to be happy, because it's first of all destroying your mental health, and second of all, it's because your mental health is so shit, your ability to create is struggling. So let's talk about this quickly. It's like kind of a big word, I guess, not really, but hedonic adaptation. Basically, all it means is that when something good or something bad, like we're not talking about like a little something good, but like something huge, like you getting a record deal, or like something bad, you find out you have cancer. Like I said that so nonchalantly. That was kind of dickish, but like I'm using it for the example. Like, pardon me, I'm using it for the example. But like, so think of it almost as like a graph, and I'll put up an example of it too. But I'm gonna draw it out with my fingers because I can't do that right now. So essentially, what hedonic adaptation is if you are like, this is your happiness baseline. And let's say, you're going like this, all of a sudden you get a record deal, your shit is going to spike, right? That's what you think. In reality, it will spike for maybe a day, 2 days, maybe a week, 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden you're going to be back at where your baseline is. Or let's say you're going like this, something horrible happens to you, something life-changing. You go down, and then you go back up. And sometimes, especially with negative stuff, and this is like, this is the kind of the core of this video that I want to talk about, is like when it goes down like that and it peaks downwards and something negative happens to you, not only will you go back up to your baseline, you have a higher chance of having a higher baseline or like peaking up again without anything happening, as almost like a rebound effect of that negativeness. And this is something that people don't really understand, especially in our generation. We're very like coddled and scared to do things and don't really have a lot of confidence. And we're like, oh, I'm just gonna hide behind my computer and never leave my house and not do shit. But like, humans are animals. Animals are meant to be resilient and fight. And our kind of like primitive psychology is that we are resilient human beings. So like, think about, in my opinion, this is the best way to think about this. Think about the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Like, like emotionally, what is the worst thing that's ever happened to you? Was it a bad relationship? Was it something traumatic? Whatever it was. When that happened, so you go down, the worst thing ever in your life happens to you. Did you bounce back? Did you go up? Because most of the time you probably did. And I'm sure when that shit happened and you were down there, you were down here and you were like, I'm never getting out of this. This is horrible. Like, I hate that. Like, my life is going to suck after this. My life has changed forever. And that is impact bias. That's another psychological trait. And basically it's that we are so biased when good and bad things happen that we're so like focused in on that one event that we don't take in everything else. So like if you get a really bad grade on a test, you're like, oh shit, like I failed the class, like fuck, I'm screwed. But you have 8 other classes. You have a bunch of friends around you that are there to support you. You know, maybe you just got a new, like you have so many other positive things going on in your life. Like who gives a fuck if you failed the test? Like why are you so focused in on that one thing? And not only that, because you failed that test, you'll study harder for the next one and you'll bounce back up. But in that moment, you're gonna be like, oh, like fuck, I'm screwed. Like this class is over. Like my college career is over. Like so, in terms of artistry, how can we use this to our advantage? Because a lot of you that are artists are like waiting for this break, waiting for this chance to like get signed or get on this tour or like go to this festival and perform at this festival, and then I'll be happy. I'll never have to work again. No more anxiety. That's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna get there, it's gonna be sick, and you're gonna go back down to baseline. So what do? Well, we be happy now. Crazy, right? I know. Like you're like, oh well, I can't be happy right now. That's a dumbass thing. What are you talking about? So what I want you to do is, I want you to use this to your advantage, and I want you to, from the time you were born, take 10 minutes to do this. From the time you were born, right? I could have never, blah, blah, blah. I could have never eaten a meatball sub. I could have never gone to Belmont University. I could have never, listened to the Beastie Boys. I could have never saw MGMT live. Just write all that shit down for 10 minutes. It doesn't take that long. And it's like, this is like the best way to reduce this like feeling, because you'll be like, holy shit, like all this good stuff has made me the person I am today. Like this is sick. Like I texted my friend Grant earlier about this. Like I was like actively thinking about this. I was like, shit, I could have never seen Kawhi Leonard make that one buzzer beater. Like that was such a important moment in just like NBA history, because it was the first time I don't think that was for the championship game, but like the next round was the first time ever a Canadian team had ever won like the NBA champ. Like it was crazy. But like that moment, like I remember that moment so vividly. I was like, I could have never saw that live. Like that could have never have happened. And so many things would have changed in the scale of basketball, but like also in that one memory. Like I remember seeing it go in and like falling on my dog and like hurting my dog on accident. But I was like so hyped because I was like, oh my God, like they won. Like this is crazy. Like please do this. Take 10 minutes, write down, I could have never blank for 10 minutes. Write down just a list of things. Not only will you feel happy as hell, you will feel so just regenerized. And now, this is really important. In terms of artistry, you are in a spot right now where you're an up-and-coming artist and you need to take risks to succeed. You need to put out vulnerable art. You need to do things that you don't want to do. You're scared. You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of, criticism. You're afraid of, you have self-doubt. This is stuff that like we've talked about in other videos, but normal fears that creative people have because you're doing such a vulnerable act. But I want you to remember impact bias. You are bad at predicting how you're going to feel after an event. So remember that. And also remember, last time something shitty happened to you. Excuse me. Last time something shitty happened to you, how fast did you bounce back? Think about that. Remember that. And did you come back stronger? And you probably put the work in, but sometimes it just happens. Like sometimes subconsciously you will just start doing things better because of something negative. You'll start appreciating things more. But like, remember that next time you're scared to do something. Has there ever really been a point in your life, which I don't know, maybe there has, but has there really been a point in your life where something bad has happened to you and you have not bounced back to at least originally where you were or above it? Think about it. New video tomorrow. Adios.
Great song.